Chapter 11. Redefining success. Alignment over image. The lie you were taught. Success is image. From childhood, most black men were taught the same formula. Success equals money, clothes, cars, women, status, dominance, attention, hustle, culture, looking like you made it. But it's the truth. Image is a costume. Alignment is a calling. Image is performative. Alignment is transformative. Image impresses people. Alignment impresses the universe, your ancestors, and your future self. Image burns out your soul. Alignment expands it. Image is noise. Alignment is a signal. You weren't born to chase an image. You were born to walk in identity. The system wants you to chase image, success. Why? Because a man addicted to image spends recklessly, competes unnecessarily, overworks himself, avoids introspection, destroys relationships, hides his wounds, loses purpose, becomes emotionally unstable, becomes spiritually disconnected. When a man chases an image, his worth is always for sale. When a man walks in alignment, his worth becomes untouchable. The psychology of false success. Behavioral science calls it hedonic chasing, the endless pursuit of things that give temporary pleasure but no long-term fulfillment. Men stuck in image-based success consistently compare themselves, feel insecure without validation, need applause to feel worthy, fear losing status, act out of ego, confuse attention with admiration, numb themselves with distraction. Psychologists say this creates chronic anxiety, burnout, emotional disconnection, relationship instability, and identity confusion. In simple terms, chasing images disconnect you from yourself. The spiritual root of real success. In African indigenous cultures, success equals alignment with purpose. A man was not successful because of what he owned, what he wore, and how many people liked him, how loud he spoke, how feared he was. He was successful because he walked in truth. He protected his community. He governed his emotions. He honored the ancestors. He stayed disciplined. He lived from spirit. He used his gifts intentionally. He embodied integrity. He made wise decisions. Spiritual success is not performance, it's presence, not accumulation, alignment, not validation, vibration. When you're aligned, everything in your life responds differently. You think clearer, you move clearer, you love deeper, you speak wiser, you act intentional, you attract stability, you protect peace, you become magnetic. Alignment is masculine power in its purest form. The MMA breakdown, success through alignment, mental martial arts teaching. A man is only successful when his mission, mindset, and movements are unified. Let's break that down. Mission, spirit, your purpose, calling, divine assignment. Mindset, mind, your beliefs, discipline, focus, movements, behavior, your habits, decision, daily rituals. When these three align, a man becomes unstoppable. Not because of what he has, but because of who he is. The street lesson. Stop trying to look successful. Be successful. The street's influence will have you buying things you can't afford, impressing people who don't matter, competing with men who are lost, hustling for validation, performing masculinity, chasing women for ego, showing off instead of growing up. Big bro truth. Looking successful is easy. Being successful is rare. Real success is peace, discipline, respect, emotional control, structure, self-worth, purpose, consistency, alignment, legacy. Anybody can look rich. Few men can sleep at night. Rebuilding success, the alignment model. Here's the new blueprint. Step 1. Identify your calling. Ask, what did universe, quote, God, design me to do? What problem am I born to solve? What gifts keep trying to break out of me? Step 2, build an internal structure. You cannot live a great life with weak discipline. Daily structure equals masculine stability. Step 3. Remove false attachments. Unfollow distractions. Unlearn ego. Detach from images. Release old versions of you. Step 4. Make decisions from spirit, not stress. Spirit chooses purpose. Stress chooses patterns. Step 5. Focus on legacy, not likes. Likes die. Legacy multiplies. The spirit psychology of legacy. Legacy is generational emotional healing, stabilizing your lineage, building internal and external wealth, giving your children tools you never had, protecting your woman with wisdom, not dominance, breaking cycles, making decisions your family can stand on. Legacy is not what you leave behind. It's who you are while you're still here. How to know if you're a man living in alignment? A man walking in alignment moves with peace, carries spiritual order, doesn't chase validation, attracts respect, leads with clarity, protects his energy, builds instead of reacts, loves intentionally, speaks with purpose, stays rooted under pressure. The aligned man doesn't compete. The aligned man doesn't perform. The aligned man doesn't pretend. He doesn't chase. He attracts. He doesn't force. He flows. He doesn't panic. He plans. He doesn't fake strength. He is strength. Alignment is manhood matured. Chapter 12. Honoring the black woman as partner, not opponent. The truth? You cannot build in this world without the black woman. A black man without honor is unstable. A black woman without safety is unrooted. Together they either rise or they repeat trauma disguised as love. The system has always known this truth. If you separate the black man from the black woman, you weaken the nation. If you confuse the black man about the black woman, you weaken the household. If you turn the man and woman into opponents, you collapse the future. This chapter restores their original structure. Black women are not opponents, not rivals, not obstacles, not emotional combat zones. A black woman is your equal, your balance, your mirror, your ally, your teacher, your counterpart, your reflection, your confirmation, your evidence. A king is only as strong as the peace of his queen. The historical wound between us. Let's tell the truth. Black men and black women were never meant to fight each other, but trauma turned us into adversaries. The world took the man's dignity, the woman's softness, the man's leadership, the woman's trust, the man's stability, the woman's emotional safety, and left behind stereotypes, broken families, distrust, frustration, miscommunication, emotional exhaustion, and relational pain. Psychology calls it attachment trauma. The street calls it, we don't understand each other. Spirit calls it a broken covenant. We were conditioned to fear one another when we were meant to heal one another. The psychology of honor. Men honor when their nervous system is regulated, their ego is quiet, their purpose is aligned, their identity is stable, their emotions are disciplined, their trauma is acknowledged, their dignity is intact. Women feel safest when the man is consistent, the man is emotionally present, the man communicates clearly, the man speaks softly but firm, the man listens without rushing, the man doesn't play emotional chess, the man is dependable, the man leads without controlling, the man values her feelings. Honor is not performance. Honor is relational intelligence. Honor is masculine leadership as emotional safety. The spiritual role of black women in the kingdom. In African cosmetology, the woman is the portal. The man is the protector. The woman is the energy. The man is the structure. The woman is the intuition. The man is the direction. The woman is the soil. The man is the seed. The woman is the moon. The man is the sun. Opposites, yet deeply interdependent. She births the world spiritually and literally. You guard the world structurally and energetically. She interprets emotion. You interpret logic. She is water. You are fire. Both are needed. Both are divine. Both are powerful. The empress completes what the king brings. The street truth. A black woman is not your enemy. She's not nagging. She's expressing unmet safety needs. She's not too emotional. She's emotionally literate. She's not strong because she wants to be. She had no choice. She's not independent because she hates men. She adapted to survive because the men she chose didn't show up in more than one way. She's not masculine. She's unprotected. She's not difficult. She's discerning. She's not cold. She's hurt. She's not angry. She's exhausted. Or intentional harm created these conditions. Healing through acceptance restores her balance. A black woman softens in the presence of emotional consistency, accountable leadership, masculine stability, spiritual grounding, patient communication, safe energy, truth, transparency, love without manipulation. The more aligned you are as a man, the more peaceful she becomes as a woman. The king's responsibility, not domination, not fear, not control, not perfection. Responsibility. A king is responsible for the tone of the home, the emotional energy he brings, the way he communicates, the way he reacts, the kind of love he models, the way he protects her peace, the examples he sets for the children, the discipline he maintains, the boundaries he holds, the truth he lives by. A man cannot demand respect from a woman he refuses to make safe. The MMA approach to partnership. Here's how a man shows honor in practice. Number 1, stability is greater than sensitivity. She doesn't need you to be stoic like a statue. She needs you grounded, not chaotic. Number 2, listen to understand, not respond. Listening regulates her nervous system. When you listen, she softens. When she softens, she trusts. When she trusts, she supports without resistance. Number 3, control your tone. Tone is war or peace. Choose peace. Number 4, validate her feelings. Not as right, but as real. Speak truth without harm. Honesty delivered without ego builds intimacy. Number 6, be present, not perfect. Your presence is more valuable than your perfection. Lead with integrity, not authority. Authority demands obedience. Integrity earns devotion. The healed black man understands these truths. A woman cannot rest if she cannot trust you. A woman cannot trust you if she cannot read you. A woman cannot read you if you hide everything. A woman cannot feel safe if you are unpredictable. A woman cannot love freely if she is always bracing for impact. A woman cannot soften around a man who is emotionally sharp. Your calm is her safety. Your structure is her rest. Your presence is her grounding. Your devotion is her security. Your emotional maturity is her peace. This is not gender roles. This is energetic order. The Empress Mirror. A healed black man reflects stability, balance, devotion, consistency, patience, strength, clarity, compassion. And in return, a healed black woman reflects softness, intuition, nurture, wisdom, peace, vulnerability, partnership, strength of her own. Two mirrors facing each other multiply light, not conflict, not trauma, not battles, not ego, not pain. The beauty of repair. Every relationship will face misunderstandings, emotional collisions, communication errors, wound resurfacing. But the man sets the tone for repair. How? By apologizing without excuses, by listening without defense, by staying present, not running, by calming instead of escalating, by honoring her emotional experience, by offering clarity, not confusion. A man who repairs well is a man who leads well. The street level bottom line. A black woman is your partner, not your competitor, not your emotional opponent, not your enemy, not your test, not your challenge, not your obstacle. She's the other side of your destiny. Honor her. and she multiplies everything inside you. Dishonor her, and life will mirror that back to you. This is the spiritual law. Chapter 13. Heal before you build. Real truth. Unhealed men build from wounds, not wisdom. A man can build a body, a brand, a bag, a family, and a home, and still destroy everything with his own unhealed trauma. Because skill doesn't fix wounds. Money doesn't fix wounds. Success doesn't fix wounds. Sex doesn't fix wounds. Hustle doesn't fix wounds. Strength doesn't fix it. If pain is the architect, the foundation will always crack. Modern culture tells men to build quickly. Ancient culture taught men to build correctly. Psychology adds, unhealed trauma becomes habitual behavior. Spiritual law adds, you can't rise above the parts of yourself you refuse to confront. The street adds, what you don't repair, you repeat. What you don't face, you chase. What you don't heal, you hurt with. Where attention goes, energy flows. This chapter is your initiation. The psychology of why men avoid healing. Men avoid healing for reasons that make sense. You were taught to endure, not express. Pain was something to swallow, not examine. You were taught that emotions threaten respect. Being strong meant being silent. You were taught healing is for women, not warriors. False narrative. Healing creates warriors. You didn't grow up seeing healed men. Most men only saw anger, aggression, withdrawal, addiction, emotional shutdown, numbing, alcoholism, cheating, emotional abstinence. You were taught to fix everything except yourself. Cars, jobs, houses, but not the heart. The result, men build externally while breaking internally. The ancestral wisdom of healing. In indigenous traditions, before a young man became a warrior, he entered the clearing, a sacred space where he faced his wounds, he confronted his fears, he released childhood pain, he met his spirit, he reconnected to his ancestors, he learned emotional discipline, he understood his purpose, he mastered his own energy. Only then was he ready to lead, love, and protect. Modern men skip the clearing, then wonder why life collapsed. If you don't heal before you build, what you build becomes a prison of your own reactions. Healing is not feminine. Healing is foundational. The Mental Martial Arts Initiative, the 4 wounds men must face. Every black man carries 4 primary wounds of some sort. Number 1, the father wound. Whether he was absent, inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, or present but unhealed, this wound shapes identity. It creates fear of failure, emotional distance, difficulty trusting, performance-based worth, craving validation from women, anger at male authority, defensiveness. Healing this wound restores direction. Number 2, the mother wound. Even the strongest mothers unintentionally wound sons when they depend on them emotionally. They overprotect. They underprotect. They expect performance. They model survival instead of rest. This creates people-pleasing, over-caretaking, guilt, resentment, emotional confusion, avoiding feminine vulnerability. Healing this wound restores balance. Number 3, the masculinity wound. Society taught black men suppress emotion, react to disrespect, distrust vulnerability, chase dominance, hide weakness. This produces emotional immaturity, relationship chaos, intimacy fear, conflict cycles. Healing this wound restores maturity. Number 4, the society wound. Systematic racism teaches black men they are threats, they are failures. They must consistently defend themselves. They must be twice as strong to be seen as equal. This creates chronic stress, hypervigilance, rage, shutdown, self-doubt. Healing this wound restores identity and self-worth. The big bro truth, you cannot outrun your unhealed self. You can move states, you can change women, you can switch jobs, you can stack money, you can get accolades, you can build muscle, you can start businesses. But if the wounded version of you is still running the show, you're not evolving. You're relocating the same pain. Wherever you go, your unhealed self follows. Because a man who avoids healing doesn't grow, he mutates. Healing returns you to truth. The 3 healing structures. Emotional healing. This is where you face childhood pain, heartbreak, abandonment, betrayal, shame, anger, grief. Tools. Journaling, therapy, honest conversations, silence practice, naming emotions. The goal? Emotional mastery, not emotional avoidance. Number 2, spiritual healing. This is where you reconnect to your intuition, your ancestors, your purpose, your inner voice, your higher self, your divine identity. Tools? Meditation, prayer, nature walks, grounding rituals, gratitude, ancestral connection. The goal? Alignment, not hustle. 3, behavioral healing. This is where you break toxic patterns, self-sabotage, compulsive behaviors, addictive cycles, old habits, generational curses. Tools? Discipline, accountability, new routines, consistent habits, brotherhood, lifestyle structures. The goal? Transformation, not trying. Why you must heal first before you lead anything. Healing gives you clarity to choose the right partner, patience to raise healthy children, emotional intelligence to communicate, discipline to build legacy, spiritual grounding to withstand storms, identity strong enough to resist temptation, boundaries to protect yourself, empathy to love deeply, presence to lead calmly, wisdom to navigate chaos. Without healing, your wounds raise your children, your ego leads your relationships, your trauma chooses your partner, your triggers run your household, your past shapes your decisions, and your fears control your future. If you heal first, what you build lasts. If you build first, what you build breaks. The King's Healing Checklist. Ask yourself, where am I still bleeding? What anger do I carry? Who do I still resent? What childhood moment still affects me? What am I afraid to confront? What patterns do I repeat? What emotions do I ignore? What parts of me need compassion? Write the answers, think them, face them, honor them. You cannot lead others until you lead yourself. This is why it has taken me so long to even get here. I literally had to learn this lesson. The spiritual revelation. Healing is not self-help. Healing is spiritual warfare. You're fighting generational trauma, systematic programming, ego, fear, insecurity, internal chaos, spiritual blockages, identity confusion, ancestral wounds. When a man heals, his entire bloodline feels it. You're not just healing yourself. You're healing your grandson's future. You're healing your daughter's self-esteem. You're healing your family tree. This is masculine priesthood. This is ancestral responsibility. This is divine assignment. Chapter 14. Discipline is your freedom. The lie. Freedom means doing what you want. Most men think freedom means no rules, no boundaries, no accountability, no structure, no restriction. That's not freedom. That's chaos. Chaos creates anxiety, inconsistency, emotional breakdowns, financial trouble, unstable relationships, poor self-worth, lack of trust in self, spiritual confusion. A man without discipline is like a kingdom without walls. Anything can enter. Anything can destroy. Anything can distract. But here's the truth. True freedom is created by discipline, not from absence of it. Discipline is the foundation of masculinity. Let's break it down in the language of psychology, spirituality, and the streets. Psychology says discipline creates predictable outcomes, stable behavior, and emotional regulation. Spirituality says discipline aligns the soul with divine order. Street wisdom says a man who can't control himself ain't ready for nothing serious. Mental martial arts says structure is the container of power. Without structure, power leaks. Without discipline, purpose dissolves. Why discipline feels hard for most men? Nobody taught you how to build routine, how to form habits, how to stay consistent, how to follow order, how to create personal commandments, how to regulate emotion, how to structure life. Instead, many black men learn survival, improvisation, hustle, emotional suppression, working under pressure, making reactive decisions, adapting to instability. Survival teaches quick thinking, not long-term structure. Healing requires the opposite. The psychology of discipline. In neuroscience, discipline is tied to prefrontal cortex decision-making, dopamine reward system, emotional regulation, habit formation loops. Your brain literally strengthens every time you follow through on your own word. When you repeatedly choose discipline, confidence grows, self-respect grows, impulse control increases, anxiety decreases, focus sharpens, creativity opens. Discipline rewires your brain towards success. The spiritual root. Discipline is divine order. Across ancient traditions, to be disciplined was to be in alignment with the idea of God, ancestors, and purpose. Discipline is sacred because it honors your gifts, it protects your calling, it clarifies your spirit, it strengthens your intuition, it guards your energy, it elevates your vibration, it shows the idea of heaven. You're ready. A man without discipline can't hold blessings. A man with discipline multiplies blessings. The MMA principle, routine is your real training partner. A fighter becomes great through repetition, control, practice, predictability, neural memory, controlled breathing, centered awareness. The same applies to life. Discipline is not about perfection, it's about showing up consistently. Here is a mental martial arts discipline blueprint. The 3 pillars of masculine discipline. Pillar 1, morning alignment. Start your day with structure. Sit in silence for 2 to 5 minutes. Deep breathing. Speak your daily intention. Stretch or light movements. Drink water. Make your bed. Do one small productive task immediately. This tells your spirit, I am leading today. This tells your mind, we are focused. This tells your emotions, fall in line. Pillar 2, daily commandments. Set 3 non-negotiables for yourself every morning. Example, I will remain calm. I will complete my task. I will honor my boundaries. These become your internal law, not suggestions. Not if I feel like it, but commandments. Pillar 3, the night audit. This is discipline's secret weapon. Every night ask, did I move with purpose? Where did I lose focus? What did I handle well? What needs correcting? Did I honor my values? Did I manage my energy? If yes, great, keep it up. If not, great, keep it moving. Then forgive yourself, reset, and commit again. Accountability without shame is maturity. The street-level truth about discipline. Without discipline, you waste time, you waste energy, you lose respect, you lose opportunities, and you repeat patterns. You stay almost great. You stay one decision from disaster. With discipline, women trust you, men respect you, children follow you, money obeys you, your spirit calms, your mind sharpens, your vision expands, your purpose becomes obvious. Discipline gives you a life you're not afraid to look at. Discipline protects you from yourself. A man who lives without discipline becomes reactive, impulsive, emotionally unstable, financially irresponsible, spiritually dull, inconsistent in love, untrustworthy, directionless. But a disciplined man becomes predictable in the best way, reliable, focused, intentional, self-controlled, emotionally mature, spiritually grounded, trustworthy. This is masculine stability. The king's discipline vow. Speak this aloud. I do not negotiate with my purpose. I do not bargain with my destiny. I do not delay my calling. I discipline my mind. I discipline my emotions. I discipline my habits because my freedom depends on my structure. The spiritual reward of discipline. A disciplined man gains clarity, confidence, consistency, power, presence, peace, partnership, stability, financial increase, spiritual insight, ancestral support. Why? Because creation responds to order. A man in order commands his life. Chapter 15. Spiritual grounding and sexual energy. The truth, a man who masters his spirit and his sexual energy masters his life. Your sexual energy is not just desire, it's life force. It fuels creativity, focus, drive, discipline, emotional balance, spiritual clarity, resilience, identity, confidence. But most men were taught to release their energy, not direct it. The world trains you to be a consumer of pleasure, not a commander of power. This chapter shifts you from instinct to intuition, from reaction to regulation, from impulse to influence. The psychology. Sexual energy is neurological fuel. Sexual energy affects dopamine, motivation, oxytocin, emotional connection, testosterone, drive and strength, serotonin, mood and stability, cortisol, stress. When mismanaged, this energy becomes distraction, addiction, emotional instability, self-sabotage, impulsive choices, low focus, inconsistent discipline. When mastered, this energy becomes creativity, ambition, clarity, emotional maturity, controlled masculinity, spiritual sensitivity, strong boundaries. Your brain runs on the fuel of your choices. The spiritual law. Sexual energy is sacred power. Every ancient African tradition taught this truth. A man's sexual energy is a gateway to his spiritual authority. When it's scattered, the spirit becomes dull. When it's misused, the mind becomes foggy. When it's misdirected, the heart becomes unstable. But when a man aligns his spiritual energy, his intuition sharpens, his purpose becomes clear, his emotions stabilize, his spirit strengthens, his self-respect deepens. Sexual discipline is spiritual clarity. The street truth. Most men spill energy they should be using to build. Let's be for real. For many men, sex becomes an escape, ego boost, boredom relief, stress relief, avoidance, emotional and anesthesia, validation seeking, control, routine release. Not connection, not purpose, not intention, not spiritual alignment. Sex becomes a coping mechanism, not a conscious act. But here's the truth. The streets rarely say a man who cannot control his sexual energy cannot control his life. Because if your sexual urges run you, your discipline is rented, not owned. The biology of male energy. Science is clear. Sexual release drops dopamine temporarily. Testosterone dips for a short window. Clarity can be affected depending on timing and mental state. Emotional bonding hormones surge during intimacy. Prostate health improves with regular release, not suppression. So the goal is not to release. The goal is conscious release. Intentional, not impulsive. Spirit-led, not wounded-driven. Aligned, not addictive. A king doesn't waste energy, he channels it. The breath of the king, the real origin of control. Breath is the first place where sexual energy, emotional energy, spiritual energy, nervous system regulation all intersect. A man who breathes well controls his reactions, his urges, his anger, his fears, his sexual impulse, his emotional waves. Breath is the remote control for your body. This is why every warrior tradition taught breath work first. If you can't master your breath, you can't master your body. And if you can't master your body, your spirit stays unfocused. Spiritual groundedness, the masculine root. Being spiritually grounded means you know who you are. You know why you are. You know what you stand for. You can't be manipulated. You stay calm under pressure. You listen to intuition. You stay aligned with destiny. You walk with clarity. You move with purpose. A spiritually grounded man has a calm aura, a steady voice, a powerful presence, a disciplined life, a sharp intuition, a peaceful confidence. Women feel it. Men respect it. Children trust it. Opportunities respond to it. Your spirit is the throne your emotions sit on. When the throne is stable, the kingdom is at peace. The MMA connection. The body is the temple of discipline. In mental martial arts, Sexual energy and spiritual grounding are treated as combat resources. 3 rules. Number 1, protect your energy from unnecessary drain. Not every connection is meant for access. Number 2, direct your energy toward purpose before pleasure. Build before you indulge. Number 3, be honest about why you want what you want. Is it loneliness, lust, stress relief, ego, trauma, boredom, genuine desire, spiritual intimacy? Honesty is how you master yourself. The spiritual enemy of man, unregulated desire. The biggest threat to a man is not another man, it's uncontrolled desire. Desire without discipline destroys marriages, finances, focus, sanity, purpose, opportunities, reputation, self-worth. Desire with discipline builds legacy, leadership, respect, stability, peace, trust, clarity, longevity. This is why ancient men trained desire like a warrior trains a blade. Unsharpened desire cuts the wrong thing. Sharpened desire cuts the path forward. Sexual energy as creative power. Your sexual energy is the same energy used to write, build, design, plan, solve problems, create businesses, innovate, lead, think deeply. Creative energy and sexual energy are one river. If you waste it, your creativity dries up. If you steward it, your creativity explodes. Some of your best ideas will come when your energy is aligned. Conscious release versus compulsive release. The difference. Compulsive release, draining, avoiding, unfocused, emotionally numbing, spiritually dulling, impulsive, addictive behavior cycles. Conscious release, connected, mutual, intentional, emotionally grounding, spiritually aligned, deeply restorative, bonding. A conscious man is not restricting himself, he's respecting himself. The king's practice for energy control. Number 1, breath control techniques. 4-4-4 breathing, box breathing, deep abdominal breathing regulates urges instantly. Number 2, cold showers. Shifts the nervous system out of impulse into discipline. Number 3, intentional abstinence, short cycles. Not to hold seed for ego, but to reset mental clarity. Number 4, creative transmutation. Channel desire into writing, business, art, exercise, planning, prayer, meditation. Number 5, sacred sex only. Whatever sacred means for you. Emotionally safe, spiritually aligned, energetically healthy, honest, intentional, mutual, connected. Sex is not casual to the soul. The Empress connection. Here's the secret. Women can feel the difference between a man driven by desire and a man directed by purpose. One feels unsafe, the other feels divine. A man who controls his energy communicates clearer, listens deeper, moves slower, loves better, leads stronger, connects spiritually, protects emotionally. His presence becomes peace, not pressure. The final truth, energy is currency. Every day you wake up with a limited amount of focus, time, emotion, creativity, stamina, discipline, sexual energy. Spend it wisely. When you master your sexual energy, you master your life force. When you master your life force, you master purpose. When you master purpose, you master destiny. A man aligned with God, the universal creative force in nature, guided by spirit, strengthened by discipline, and in control of his energy is unstoppable. Chapter 16. Legacy over likes. The truth, likes are temporary. Legacy is eternal. Our generation live in a world where clout is currency, attention is addiction, validation is oxygen, applause is proof, comparison is habit, performance is identity, social media is the scorecard. But you were not designed to live for screens. You were designed to live for impact. Likes disappear, legacy remains. Likes are borrowed, legacy is built. Likes are loud, legacy is quiet and consistent. When a man chooses legacy over likes, it's choosing purpose over approval, discipline over ego, generational wealth over temporary validation, wisdom over noise, kingdom over chaos. Legacy is masculine matured. The ancestral calling of black man. African and indigenous traditions all taught the same truth. A man is responsible for three realms: himself, his household, his lineage. Your ancestors expect you to heal what was broken, restore what was stolen, elevate what was suppressed, protect what was sacred, prepare the way for future generations. You are the bridge between the ancestors behind you and the descendants ahead of you. Legacy is not optional, it's your assignment. The psychology of legacy. Research shows men who operate with a legacy mindset have lower stress, higher purpose, stronger relationships, better emotional control, increased longevity, more financial responsibility, deeper spiritual grounding. Why? Because when a man thinks beyond himself, his ego shrinks and his wisdom expands. Legacy breaks survival mode. The MMA principle. Your life is a dojo. Think of your everyday life as a training ground. Everything you do is a teaching someone. Your son, your daughter, your nephew, your community, the young man watching you from a distance. You are always modeling something. When you lose control, you teach chaos. When you manage emotions, you teach regulation. When you avoid conflict, you teach fear. When you communicate clearly, you teach maturity. When you love with honor, you teach security. When you discipline yourself, you teach power. When you stay consistent, you teach leadership. Legacy is not what you leave. Legacy is what you teach while you're here. The King's 4 pillars of legacy. Number 1, legacy of character. Your morals, your integrity, your consistency, your emotional discipline, your spiritual grounding. Kids don't remember what you bought them. They remember who you were around them. Number 2, legacy of wisdom. You must teach how to think, how to regulate emotions, how to lead themselves, how to choose partners, how to speak with truth, how to honor yourselves. Wisdom produces generational wealth of the heart. Number 3, legacy of protection, MMA. Not just physical, emotional and spiritual. A man becomes a shield by being present, being stable, being emotionally predictable, being trustworthy, being honorable. Your presence is a fortress. Number 4, legacy of provision. Provision is not just money. It includes vision, structure, mentorship, spiritual covering, guidance, direction. Money runs out. Vision multiplies. The street truth: men who chase validation never build anything real. There are always 2 types of men. Men who chase attention and men who build legacy. The man who chases attention wastes energy, loses time, repeats cycles, avoids responsibility, attracts low-quality environments, confuses ego for purpose, stays in emotional adolescence. The man who builds legacy moves in silence, works consistently, protects his name, guards his energy, loves intentionally, elevates his family, breaks generational curses, prepares the next generation. Likes fade, legacy strengthen. Fatherhood and mentorship, your most important roles. Whether you have biological children or not, you are always fathering something. A boy watching you, a nephew looking up to you, a young man you influence, your inner child, your community. Fatherhood is not biology, it's behavior. Mentorship is not formality, it's presence. A man who mentors well contributes to lower community violence, better emotional development in boys, stronger families, higher academic outcomes, healthier relationship models. You're not just raising children, you're raising a nation. The spiritual truth. Heaven doesn't reward performance, it rewards purpose. You don't get remembered for how many followers you had, how popular you were, how many women you wanted or they wanted you, how many people applauded your post. You get remembered for the wisdom you left, the protection you provided, the love you gave, the discipline you modeled, the values you embodied, the generational healing you begun. Legacy is the language of eternity. How to begin building your legacy? Start today. Establish your code of honor. What do you stand for? Write it. Live it. Number 2, repair what needs repairing. A man who apologizes becomes a giant in his child's eye. Number 3, start a weekly ritual. Every 20 minutes with a child or young man, build memory. Number 4, document something. A message, journal, video, or letter. Your great-grandchildren will treasure it. Number 5, teach one lesson a month. Money, mental health, relationships, respect, spirituality. Number 6, protect your name. Your reputation is part of your inheritance. Number 7, build something that outlives you. A book, a business, a tradition, a principle, a song. The final word. Legacy is the final form of respect. A black man who chooses legacy over likes becomes a king, a stabilizer, a pathmaker, a protector, a teacher, a healer, a foundation, a generational warrior. Your ancestors didn't survive for you to live for applause. They survived so you could build what they never had access to. Legacy is not about you being remembered. Legacy is about your people being restored. Chapter 17. The final word. The call to kingship. The truth. You were never meant to be a statistic. You were built to be a standard. You were born into a world that lied to you. A world that mistook your strength for danger. A world that framed your intelligence as arrogance. A world that expected your failure and feared your excellence. A world that taught you to armor up instead of open up. But despite every system engineered to break you, you're still here. You're still breathing. You're still thinking, still fighting, still building, still evolving, still becoming. This book wasn't about surviving the world. It's about remembering you were always meant to stand above it. Not because you're perfect, not because you don't fall, not because you don't bleed, but because the king in you refuses to stay asleep. This final chapter is your awakening. The ancestral anointing. You are the prayer of those who came before you. You are your grandfather's unfinished brilliance. You are your grandmother's unspoken dream. You are the strength your father didn't know how to show. You are the peace your mother never got to rest inside. You are the healing your bloodline has begged heaven for. Your predecessors, aka ancestors, walked through fire so you could stand in freedom. Your blood carries warriors, scholars, prophets, inventors, kings, healers, architects, freedmen, visionaries. When you heal, they rise. When you elevate, they stand. When you choose dignity, they lean closer. When you walk in respect, they nod in approval. You are not alone in your becoming. 8,000 ancestors breathe inside you. The psychology of kings, identity, is greater than instinct. A man becomes a king the moment he understands my identity is stronger than my impulse. You learned in these pages how triggers shape behavior, how the nervous system controls emotion, how trauma forms patterns, how discipline rewires the brain, how structure builds stability, how emotional intelligence builds healthy relationships, how truth creates clarity, how presence builds trust. This knowledge is not theory, it is training. You're not just reading a book, you're entered a dojo. You're not just studying ideas, you're studying yourself. And the man who studies himself becomes unstoppable. The streetwise warrior code. A king protects his peace. A king is not defined by how loud he is, how many women he has, how dangerous he seems, how quickly he reacts, how hard he looks. A king is defined by his calm discipline, his emotional control, his truth, his follow-through, his stability, his consistency, his moral compass, his ability to protect peace. Most men fight the world. A king fights his old self and wins. Most men chase validation. A king chases purpose. Most men move for attention. A king moves for alignment. Most men survive. A king leads. The spiritual commandments of a king. These are not suggestions. These are principles. Protect your mind. Every battle starts in thought. Number 2, honor your emotions. Your emotions are messengers, not weaknesses. Number 3, guard your energy. Everyone cannot have access to your spirit. Number 4, choose truth over image. Image disappears. Integrity stays. Number 5, lead with presence, not pressure. Calm is your first form of leadership. Number 6, love with discipline, not desperation. Desperation creates bondage. Discipline creates stability. Number 7, build something that outlives you. Legacy is the final form of masculinity. Number 8, honor the black woman. You cannot rise without elevating her. Number 9, heal what you inherit, so your children inherit something better. Number 10, walk with God, universal consciousness, ancestors, and purpose. This is your spiritual army. The reality check: you can fall and still be king. Kings are not flawless. Kings are faithful. You will have dark days, make mistakes, feel overwhelmed, question your progress, lose focus, relapse into old habits, break down, need help, get tired, want to quit. This doesn't mean dethrone you. It develops you. Great men aren't great because they never fail. They're great because they decide who they are after they fall. Every time you rise, you recrown yourself. The call to lead your lineage. Your life is no longer just your life. You now carry the healing of your bloodline, the restoration of your name, the safety of your household, the emotional blueprint for sons, the relational blueprint for daughters, the wisdom your fathers lacked, the softness your mothers needed, the strength your ancestors died for, the promise your children will depend on. This is kingship, not dominance, but responsibility, not control, but clarity, not ego, but service, not fear, but faith. You are not just a man, you're a foundation. The final blessing, the king's affirmation. Speak this aloud and let it echo. I rise with dignity. I walk in respect. I lead with discipline. I protect my peace. I honor my ancestors. I heal my wounds. I elevate my household. I build my legacy. I love with clarity. I stand with purpose. I embody manhood with truth. I am a king by responsibility, not by image. And I will live in a way that my sons rise stronger and my daughters feel safer because of who I chose to be in this moment. The closing invitation. If this book rebuilt your understanding on masculinity, you are ready for the next level. Your next level is what happened between us. The bridge between black men and black women. The healing of the black relational dynamic. The answer to the disconnect. The repair manual. The understanding we all needed but never received. You've done the individual work here. Now it's time to heal the connection between us. Thank you for listening.